Hello, welcome to Startup Business Q&A episode 149. Great to see everyone coming here, and thanks so much for tuning in. If you're listening on the podcast, watching on IGTV, if you're watching on Instagram Live right now, or of course on Facebook as well, thank you very much everyone for joining us. So we did the poll as usual. Now we did the wonderful vote as well, and what came out was that you wanted to talk about getting your first customer. So I love this. This is one of the things I do a lot of. My background, of course, has been a lot with sales over the last 16 years. I've spent a huge amount of time with startups, and I'm looking a lot at like, how do I help people get that first bit of traction. So often people have wonderful ideas. Often people are like, how do I get this baby off the ground to get myself my first, customer, be it a trial or paying. And it's really exciting working in this space, because it means that, you take excited people with often great talent and move them to a place where they're saying, oh my God, I've got my first thing. So that's what I like to do. Thanks very much for tuning in. Give me a comment on where you are right now. It'd be great to hear where you're watching from. And if you have any questions on how to get a first customer, do ask away in the comments, and I will take it from there. But one of the notifications I wanted to give you today was that after this session, I'm going to be in my friend Kurt Mercadante's group on Facebook. So he's got a group called the Freedom Group, I believe it's called, and he's got a lot of great people in there who talk about one of my favorite things in a way, which is kind of being intentional about what you do with your work and with your day. He's very kind of non-BS, and he's very focused on making sure that you live a really great life and have a great week that isn't just crammed full of work, but it's doing what you want to do. And I think it's really compelling that he talks a lot about how, you should be doing a lot of things you want, and you've just got to think about how you plan and book that day out, if you like. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. So I'm going to jump into his group after this session. So join us on Facebook in Kurt Mercadante's group. If you're not in there, you can join it right away. Thanks everyone who's watching. So I can see here Devon and Juice. Bina's here over from Wales. Also who's the other one? Daniel's watching from Phoenix as well. Good to see everyone. So I've got a load of things happening at the moment. I'm about to embark on one hell of a busy week. I'm in London tomorrow, and then there's a lot of prep. I'm flying out to San Francisco on Sunday, and next Thursday, the 13th of June, we will be having Entrepreneur Business Live San Francisco. It's our first West Coast event. So thanks so much everyone who's been supporting this. I will be speaking with Zach Messler and also Sarah Gross. They're big hackers on growth and marketing. Zach will be talking about messaging and using that for disruptive marketing. Sarah Gross will be looking at growth hacking on things like LinkedIn, and so will I. And what's exciting about that event is that disruption marketing is more than just a fashionable word. It's a necessity these days when so many people are actually doing it. So I really think that if you're unable to make it, you should check out the live stream in the Entrepreneur Business group over on Facebook. It will be streaming from 6 p.m. local time. So over in San Francisco, we'll be going live then for an hour with the three of us speaking. So thank you everyone who's watching. If you're watching right now, put in a little comment, #Team Live, and let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching later on, then put in #Team Replay. I always like to see where people are watching from. Taryn Sakon, thank you very much for watching. I think it's your first time on here as a new name for me, so I'm excited to see you here. Let's get into the first question from Bina Messenger, who I think may be watching from over in Wales. Emma Wright, good to see you here as well. Bina's asked, inbound marketing is said to be a better route to attracting potential clients than outbound. What are your thoughts? Well, just to give you definitions, firstly, inbound marketing is when you're doing marketing that is designed to bring people to you. And outbound marketing is classically more outbound sales, is when you're going out to get people. Without question, if you look at what's fulfilling, it's typically inbound marketing. It's always nice when people come to you to buy your stuff. I do think that it is also a better route for another reason. In my opinion, I prefer doing things that are going to create inbound leads and inbound customers. because in order to get that result, what you typically need to do is warm an audience really well. And it's about trust and familiarity. People will take the leap to buy something only if one of two things are happening. Firstly, if you happen to find someone who is absolutely in the need for that thing right now, which is very rare, but if someone happens to be in the market for it, they may buy. But typically, the real reason why people will buy from you is because you've built a level of trust. And that's hard to do with outbound compared with inbound, because with that inbound, this being part of it, for instance, if I share my value and who I am and things like that, people might get used to me and say, do you know what, I feel I trust this guy, and then they move to a point where they check out the website, maybe they see there's a product there they're after, or maybe there's a service they might want as well. Do you see what I mean? So it's really important to bear in mind that the route to effective inbound marketing, as in sales that come your direction, is a longer play. But with that patience, you tend to get really warm audience. You get sales that stick. You get people who aren't so worried about pulling the trigger because they're not kind of trying to trust you from the word go. They're actually being warmed up along a particular route. And sometimes it might be several months of watching a live stream like this, or consuming some other content, or reading blog posts or something like that. But then it moves to a place where that person feels really comfortable and familiar with you, and when they need something, you're front of mind, of course. So that's the way to really do it. I really feel it is a better route, not just to potential clients, Bina, but also to warmer clients that stick, that feel better about you, that advocate for you, that will they're the kind of people that will feel great about the purchase. They've enjoyed the experience of buying, and they will often share and tell other people as well. That really matters. Do you want to do some shout outs here for everyone watching? So Hussein, Youssef, nice to see you here. Julian Smith, great to see you here, man. Jedi Hill, what a cool name. You're here too. Dennis Mbunga. Russ Avery, nice to see you as well. Russ will be speaking at Entrepreneur Business Live on the 24th of July over in London, so I'm really excited to have you in the event, so thank you very much for that. Good to see you here. Over on Instagram, quite a few cool people here, some interesting names I can't pronounce. Frate Nero's here, Dreams Sarah Best Lived, okay. Mina Boys is here, Anton's here, thank you very much for watching too, and several others. So let's go on to the next question. Bina, that was a really good one to start us off. Falguni Katira, you're a regular now, you often show up, and I'll be seeing you on Thursday next week at Entrepreneur Business Live San Francisco, so I'm excited about that. She's asked, Richard, how can we make the switch from nurturing to actually start charging or paying, especially for a service-based business such as coaching and consulting? When or what is the right trigger in the nurture process to turn that lead into a prospect or customer? So two things I want to talk about here. Firstly, let's answer your question directly. You're looking for a compliment. That's what's worked for me. That's the cue I often talk about, right? So when someone says to you something like, wow, this has been really helpful, or I really think you've got, you know what you're talking about, or it's really inspirational what you do, or I've never looked at that way, or whatever, I really loved how you talked about this thing. That's your cue. That's where you can ask for something. And that's the bit where you simply say, hey, why don't we try this then? But I think one thing to add here is there's another way of looking at this, which is how you go about doing it for a service-based business, for instance. The way I first did it, Falcone, was really simple. I made people an offer they couldn't refuse. I simply said, let me be your coach or consultant for 2 weeks. And at the end of the week, at the end of the 2 weeks, all I'm looking for is two things. One is a phone call, just to catch up and see how you feel it went. And the second thing is a testimonial. Really good enough, then someone saying, do you know what, this was really great. When you have that phone call, you say, so how was it? Has this been useful? And if someone says to you something like, oh my God, this has changed my world, or you've been really useful, well, then you deserve to work together. And by doing a 2-week consulting trial for free, I was able to change people's world, save them a load of money, make them some money, have some massive impact, and change their world sufficiently that they said, Richard, I need you in my life. So, and I said just simply, well, what would you like to explore what that would look like? And it was very simple for them to say yes. And I said, so let's look at what this might be, and it might be coaching in this way, or we meet these number of times in a month, or whatever it might be. How does that sound? Great. And then you stick a price on it and you're away. And it really was as simple as that. I suppose what I'm saying is I'm earning the ask for some money to start with by just offering it for free. And the thing is, if no one wants to buy after 2 weeks of free consulting or coaching, you're not good enough and you don't deserve the fee paying customer. And sorry, you need to improve. But if you change their world enough, they're like, bloody hell, this has been amazing, I really want to jump in. And that's really what worked for me. So that's how I did it to start with, Faguni. And that's how you get people going, well, I'm cool with giving you the testimonial for 2 weeks free consulting. Happy to do that. That sounds awesome. So you basically, it's yours to lose. If you can impact someone enough, if you want it enough, you're passionate enough, and if you're good enough, then they will then happily give you money at the end of that 2 weeks. But certainly, if you're not willing to do that and work for free for a bit, and you want to just try and convert people, to answer your question directly, it is about looking for that cue of, hey, I really think this is really impressive, and you simply say the words, would you like to, explore what they would look like to work together. Melvin, great to see you here watching from Singapore, I presume. Jedi Hill has added, the long-term content is great for sales. I totally agree. I do that all the time. I've done it for years, and it warms people up. It creates familiarity. The content doesn't actually close people. The content is the magnet to get people orbiting you and checking you out. You become like a channel or a show, and they're watching it like this. This is week 149 after all. But what happens is those people who are interested enough present themselves as such, and then of course you can engage and sell to them. So not always are people forthcoming. Sometimes if you're starting out, what you need to do is check out the people who have given you a like. Okay, and then you say, hi, thanks so much for the like and for watching, and you take it from there, for example. Jedi's also, by the way, is that your real name? If it is, that's the coolest name ever. He's asked, any tips when we don't have time to warm them up and are going for a cold call? How would you go from hello, how are you, to a sale as quickly as possible? I coach this a lot. I'm going to a company tomorrow where I'm coaching this. And one point I would say is just don't go for the jugular straight away. Fine. If we're looking at a cold call, what you're looking for is the next step in the process. I would be looking to try and close them off on meeting, if I can do that. If I can't, and I'm trying to get some rapid traction, on a DM, for example, it's a stupidity to try and close them immediately because people get turned off. There's not enough familiarity. On the phone, it's easier, weirdly, because you've got them right there, and you should be thinking about how you can build some rapport. People, human beings, with someone they don't know, so when the relationship is cold, are in a place where they're going to say to themselves subconsciously, I don't know this person, therefore no trust. No trust means no chance am I buying something. Even if it's diamonds for free, I'm not buying it because I don't trust it. So trust and familiarity sits at the very top of what's needed to get deals. So the thing is, Jedi, what you want to be thinking is, how do I make sure before that phone call I've got something that's going to be interesting? I can't give them some killer line of value. It doesn't work enough compared to if I do a bit of research first and see where there might be an in. And the best in, typically, especially nowadays when people feel they're being gamed all the time, is to look for a mutual connection, in my opinion. This is what I did when I would sell. I was selling internet marketing as far back as 16 years ago. And what I would do is I would look at a customer or a person I wanted to pitch. So this would be a company, say in Norway, that made an expansion joint for a power plant. So this joins two pipes together, for example. It's taking me back. And what I would do is I would say, right, so what was this website for this company? Let's have a look at it. And I would be looking at if there's anyone listed that they've worked with, that they have as a client. Have they got anyone they've done a joint venture or a partnership with? I would be looking at literally anything that represents another company. So maybe a partner or something like that. Have I got that customer working with me, or have I got any relationship with them? And if I haven't got anything there at all, stick them in LinkedIn. Have I got a mutual connection? If I haven't, go build some familiarity. I need to go and, engage with them some way, because when it's completely cold, it's very difficult. You simply have to say, hi, you don't know me. However, there is this win I have for you, as in save money or make money or save time or save you money. And what I can do or make you look good is typically the best win. What you need to do is add to that a bit of evidence. Typically that's sharing someone else you've worked with. So I've been working with this person, okay? Do you know them? No, I don't. Well, they run this company and I've been helping them do this thing. I just wanted to grab you for a couple of minutes to show you what we're doing. If you're going completely cold with no in whatsoever, you kind of have about all of that to deal with. That's all you've got. You might go a little deeper in research and say, hi, I'm calling because I saw that you did this thing, which is perfect because we are able to help with this kind of area here. I was actually, I had someone send me a message yesterday who pitched me for mental coaching services. So this is for me and my mental resilience in business. Think about it. Think about what component of your world is most private to you. That's your mind, right? So for someone on their first message to say, hi Richard, would you need any help with mental coaching? It was a definite no. He might be world class at that. And it's funny because when I said, no, I'm all right, thanks, his response was, could you help me out because I'm not getting any traction, or something like I'm not getting any traction with this approach. I said, it's because you're asking for something which relates to people's vulnerabilities off the bat. What you need to be doing is warming them up a bit. So I suppose what I'm saying here, Jedi, is that we're looking at a bit of a difficulty with the cold call, because unless you can build some rapport, which relies on them to be receptive to your charm, which relies on them to have had a good day, which is something you can't control, or you have some level of research where you've seen that they did something interesting and you comment on that. Ideally, better than that, you have some kind of mutual connection that makes life a lot easier. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do. But yes, long-term content is great for sales because you're warming people up. If I had to make sales this month or this week and I hadn't got any runway in terms of content, I would be banging out some content today anyway, because if anyone dares like it, they're my entry point leads. Or I would be looking at what ideal companies I could pitch and what there is about them on their website maybe that I could leverage as something of interest related to a reason why I should be selling them. So they get it. It gets, the cold call is validated. Hi, John, you don't know me. However, I've just seen you on your website. You do this thing and you were talking about that thing. Is that right? Yes, it is. Okay, good. Because we're doing this and I've been helping other companies do this and this and this and deliver them results in terms of better positioning, better branding, whatever the hell it is you do. Do you see what I mean? But you risking things is tough. It is hard to do. And those that do cold calls for a living need to work the volume angle because trust is typically an issue. But practice does work. I did it for a living and I was very good at it because I practiced enough. And as an introverted, shy person, it was no real issue to start with. So it can work. I really suggest you don't do it as a long-term play. But if you need cash now, well then that hopefully will help. Let me know if that's ideally good. Check in on the comments if you're watching live, so hashtag Team Live, and let me know where you're watching from as well. This was on IGTV, also on the podcast, so let me know in the comments where you're watching. Otherwise, hello, those of you watching live right now. Melvin Tan, as I said, is watching. Absolutely working for free is one strategy to get started. 100%. What are you worried about? Aren't you good enough? If you're not, sorry, you don't deserve to ask people for money when you're not good enough. In fact, you're doing them a disservice. The problem is a lot of people just want OPM. They want other people's money and they don't want to work for it. And if you are so great, then people will be blown away by your service. It's hilarious when, to start, it's hilarious when people are saying, I won't work for free. And it's like, but you've gone 3 weeks without finding a new customer. So one thing I'd say to people who are starting out or even established but not getting customers, if you've not closed anyone for 3 weeks, then what are you worried about? If you're, work for free for a couple of weeks and impress on someone that you're that good, and then they'll pay you. It's really simple. Or be stubborn about it and stay broke. But at the very least, if you're working for free for 2 weeks for several people, bang 5 people out there. So 5 companies that you can help, do it for free for 2 weeks, 5 companies. At the very least, although you're still broke, you've now got 5 hot leads. And if you blew 2 away because you were so great, you've just now got a conversion point there. When you have the phone call, you say, do you know what? How was it? Let's talk about it. Richie, it was fantastic. I remember speaking to someone over in the summer last year, and they're like, in the last month, this is an app this person sells, in the last month we've had over 300 new customers, Richard, as a result of doing this thing with you. I'm like, so should we keep working together? And they're like, but absolutely, what does that need to look like? And they were just closing themselves, you see. Work for free, and if you're so great that you're making tons of money, well then sure, you don't need to work for free. So, but what's the point in watching this? But that's a really important point, a way to look at it. Yes, Russ Avery, Rich, how's this for a cracking example of getting your first customers? I launched my side hustle. Get this huge comment now. Hang on, my God, you've written on. Okay. I launched my side hustle, Renewability, yes, which is renewable. Renewability is a sustainable business in terms of the t-shirts you sell, a sustainable clothing brand. Yesterday, a lady commented on my Facebook group, we're both part of, complaining that a local cafe in Farnham, where you live, south of London, is full of single-use plastic, and the irony that the cafe is a Forestry Commission area that should promote environmental best practice. And so on, and so on. And there, long story short, thank you at the end. Look for the opportunities and take them, be proactive. Quite right. If anyone wants to get more on his comment/essay, it's right in there. But you basically have jumped in on the opportunity, and that's really what's making you a great entrepreneur, I think, there, Russ. Well done. Okay, Jedi. Okay, so Jedi is short, okay, for your name. So I'm reading these comments. This is cool. Instagram watchers are like, what the hell was he talking about? Violet Jamal, nice to see you here. Judy Fox, hello, how are you? Good to see you watching from over in the States. Hope you're well. And more and more comments. Purvey, Sonia Davies here. Thank you for watching, Purvey, and I really need to catch up with you soon. We're on the cusp of booking out the venue for the next Entrepreneur, or the first Entrepreneur Business Live over where you are in Chicago. Hopefully mid-July, we're looking good. I'm excited to announce the speakers once that's done as well. Dominic Carnazzo, nice to see you here, and everyone else, my goodness, so many of you. So we're talking about getting your first customer today. If you want to ask questions on that, then please do it. Let's jump on to the next question here from Bernadette Judd, all the way over in New Zealand. You're more than likely to be tucked up in bed right now, but so hashtag replay from you. If so, this is a great question, by the way, and I urge you to answer this for yourself. Do you know what? This is going to be homework. So you listen to my answer, but I want you to answer it in the comments as well, because this is a question you should ask yourself. And it's also a question you should ask yourself about the situation if you are using one social platform and that platform screws up. Imagine if you were on Meerkat when it was out and then it's gone and you're screwed. Imagine if you're on Snapchat and you're all in on Snapchat, and then Instagram comes along and starts really messing with you. Snapchat's all good still in many ways, but it's not the place so much for what it does. So think about that. Here's the question from Bernadette. If social media weren't a thing, and I'm 38 going on 39 soon, so I'm aware of what it's like for that to be the case, how would you be building up a customer base? So what I would be doing is taking my cues from the social media world. So if I use social platforms, think about what I do. My content play is put out value and then harvest those that show interest. That value, what's the cost? It's completely free. So if it's free, how do I do that without social media? There's 2 things I could do. I could cheat here, by the way, Bernadette. I could just create an email list. Does that count? I don't know. I could do that. But let's say there's no online component at all. I would be doing the equivalent of content marketing, okay, which is free value given to a mass of people so that I could ideally convert. What that means is I would be going to businesses, I would be holding my breath, and basically, living on very little, money to start with, going to businesses, getting in a mass of people, organizing maybe very low-key events where I could get a mass of people. But ideally, I would be going into businesses and talking to people about what I can offer them. And some will stick. That's as simple as that. So for instance, a guy who often watches here, Adam Mosley, my friend who's down in South London, who's a personal trainer for me as well. He is, he's a personal trainer, but he often works with corporates, so people in their offices, people like me who are quite time poor, but who still want to get fit and healthy. And what I would be doing if I was him, for example, if there was no social media, is I would be going to businesses, essentially knocking the door and saying, hi, I will give your whole workload, or the floor of sales team or whatever. I'll sit down with them, give me 25 minutes, and I will give them a class or a session, that can help them get fit and healthy. Then they'll be more productive in your day and things like that. I did this in 2014 when I launched my Taekwondo academies. I knew that if I had schools as in Taekwondo schools after school, then people would come and join and learn and things like that. But I wanted feeders into those schools. So sure, I had the social media play, but at the very start, I thought, where do I find a mass of people who could sign up? And where do I get the opportunity to pitch decision makers? So the mass of people was a primary school where there's loads of children. I've been teaching children for years in London anyway, when I taught Taekwondo in Wembley area. And where do I pitch the decision makers? Decision makers aren't the children, they're the adults. So I need to make sure I do an after school club, meet the parents, and then take it from there. So what I did was I went around loads of primary schools. I think I did like 3 or 4 of them. And well, not loads. So I did 3 or 4 primary schools because they all said yes straight away pretty much. I said, can you give me an hour and a half at the end of a day? Okay. And I will teach 3 classes, so half hour each, with teachers if you like, because that'd be fun. Some Taekwondo, and show you what we're all about. And if it looks good, then why don't we organize an after school club? And obviously, Taekwondo has got wonderful USPs, like you're teaching 5-year-olds how to speak Korean. They learn discipline, all that stuff. So it's kind of wonderful when they all say yeah. But that gave me an opportunity for free to show up. I remember the one school in particular. We had the teachers at the back doing it. We had class after class coming in, and I was giving them. They were leaving, bowing, and all this stuff, speaking Korean. They loved it. And it was free, and they were like, where do we sign up? And it's not difficult, but what you got to do is be that much more proactive. That was essentially my content marketing. That was like my live seminar to them, and so many of them wanted to do it. But of course, at the end, when the children were going, I made sure I got myself to the front door and said hi to all of the mums and dads, those children that were characters, let's say. I spoke to their parents in particular and said, it was wonderful teaching this person, and there was always there was going to be a couple that were like, this was amazing. Do you do any other schools? Yes, we have them up in this place and this place, and so they were signing up for the club as well. So it was just a case of being among the masses. So ask yourself, where are they? The question is that I would fire back at you, Bernadette, is do you need to worry about this right now? Because there are things, called social media platforms that you don't need to do too much door knocking. But that's what I would be doing. Get amongst the people and make sure the decision makers are there as well. Make sure you're showing your service to the people buying it. That's why it's weird. A lot of martial arts schools, as an aside, they have the students dropped off, and actually the parents, if they're children, for example, the parents aren't allowed in to watch. Whereas I was like, that's stupid. The parents are the people who are the customers. The children are just the device, which sounds terrible, but they kind of are. So I made sure the parents could stay and watch, because if they saw little Johnny smiling and laughing, have a good time, then of course they felt sold on it, and of course then more people come along and so on and so forth. So that's what worked for me. That's my view. But why don't you all write in the comments, just really briefly, what would you do if there was no social media sites, how would you go about this? What would you do for your business? If you haven't done this thought experiment, you really should, because it's not the case that I'm sure social media will prevail, but you never know what you might lose, what might go away. Facebook, something might happen to it, that might be the end. So you got to think like, well, am I backed up? Or have I got all my eggs in one basket? Hi Diana, nice to see you watching from Melbourne. Superstar from over there. Nika Redding as well, good to see you here. And Chicago, that's exciting. Yes, it certainly is, Judy. And Pervy, woohoo, so excited. Thanks for... Yeah, so Chicago's coming soon in July. Also in July, we're hoping to have Phoenix as well over in that direction. A bit more of a West Coast, not quite West Coast, but in that direction kind of event. But of course, San Francisco is in about 10 days' time, so very excited by that. Next up is Latanya Riggs. Can you give us, in your opinion, the top 3 techniques, ways, or steps on how to close the deal without feeling like a sleazy salesman? You shouldn't feel like a sleazy salesman. There's tip number 1. If you feel like a sleazy salesman, something's going wrong. I totally get it. So tip 1 is essentially wait until you don't feel like one. What does that really mean? Wait until they're giving you the cues that you're so right for them. And if you haven't got them, you need to earn the right a bit more. So where's your value? Always having in mind when you're selling anything, am I talking about myself or am I talking about how they will win? If I'm talking about how they will win, ideally with some evidence and some cases and social proof and things like that, that's where I need to be. If I'm talking about myself, or by extension my product, I probably am boring them. Almost definitely am boring them. And the reason why is because people don't care about you or your device, your product. They care about how they are going to win. They care about how they're going to look good through your course or your product or your shoe or whatever it is you're making. They care about how they're going to win by making more money. They care about how they're going to save time. I just bought an app for Facebook because Facebook throttles your content if, for example, you have loads of friends attached to you who are inactive. So I just bought an app, amazing guy called Matt Ganzak, who's created this app which identifies those Facebook friends who haven't engaged with you in any way for like 180 days, and it will bulk unfriend them for you. It's amazing. So like, that's a really good sell. Talking about things like that, how did it work? I couldn't care less. As long as it doesn't kill my account, I'm absolutely fine with it. So imagine if he was telling me all about him and his experience and his background. I just don't care. I want the win, which is the saved time and all of that, me looking better and, me basically winning because I now get more people involved. I will post the name of the app. I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head. But if you check out, I think it's friendfinder.io, but if you check out Matt Ganzak, Ganzak, Matt Ganzak, he is in my friends. Still, I haven't got rid of him, and the app is phenomenal, and I've been able to kind of bulk unload a lot of people. Date for Chicago, Nika. Sorry, I'm going off piece here answering questions. Date for Chicago is probably I think it's gonna be the 17th or the 18th of July. TBC though. I'm just getting the venue nailed down, but should be able to announce hopefully this week actually. So we'll have to see. Let me continue with this question. So the first one is, wait until you don't feel sleazy because they're giving you cues like, do you know what, Richard, this is really good stuff, okay? I really think this might help me, which is like, that's the come hither for you to say, okay, cool, let's see if we can work together then. Jedi Hill, I think it's called friendfinder.io. I will write it down once I've gone offline and put it in the comments here for you. Another one I would say is give an offer they can't refuse. Already covered that. One thing I would do is just make it like, so what do why don't I offer you this then? And I would often, to start with, when I was trying to get my first customers, I would totally focus on just making it so outrageously value stacked that there was always going to be a yes. Silly price and a really great amount of value, they're always going to say yes to it. Maybe the offer they can't refuse is you give it to them for free. It's your service for free for 2 weeks. And if they like it, you go from there. I know a guy who sells courses, and he said he gives them for free with a donation. And his focus, he's a Facebook ads guy, so it helps. His focus is totally making sure he gets as many people as possible taking this free course. Because his vibe is, sure, plenty of people might take it and not bother giving me any money, but if I put a PayPal donate button, some people will have enough of a conscience. If maybe 2 people out of 10 feel bad and give a bit of a donation, then what would happen if I got 20,000 people to take this course for free? That's kind of his play on it. So he's giving away stuff for free because he knows the conversion just comes a bit further down the track. I would also say, get them to be the people who ask. So rather than you feeling sleazy for asking for a deal, Latanya, I would try and reverse engineer. What would it need to look like for them to ask you to buy your product? So for them to say, so how can we work together? And a great way of doing that, I remember from a lot of my consulting calls, I would try and make it feel like the ball was very much in their court. I would say to people, so I suppose I'd say something like, so how do you see us working together? And if you say it like that, then they get to say, well, I suppose we could do it this way, or we could do it this way. And I've talked about what my services are already, but if someone's inbound and said, I've got a lot of interest about it, so let me know, how do you feel this, how do you want this to look? And it works really well because everyone has a different view of things, and some people don't have a clue, and then they're basically saying, well, what do you think we should do? And then of course then I can take it from there. But in the main, they would say, well, I really need someone who could just do this for me or help me with this part. And I'm like, great, so let's do that bit then. And now I've got to a point where they've asked me for it, which is a far more effective way of closing someone. And now I don't feel so sleazy because they're the one asking me, right? So it works a lot better. So hopefully that helps a bit. So we're talking, for those of you just joining in now, where have you been? Also, this is episode 149 of Startup Business Q&A. If you have a question on how to get your first customer, do post it in the comments. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the show so far. And also give me a heart if you're on Facebook, or just that's all you've got on Instagram, if you're going to watch next week. Because next week is Startup Business Q&A, episode 150. So I'm thrilled to be doing that. 100 was at the Shard. 150, I will be in San Francisco. So we'll do an event from over there. I'm flying out on Sunday. I haven't worked out what time it will be when it's 1 p.m. here in San Francisco. Well, that 1 p.m. here will be outrageously early in the morning. I may still be in the air, so we will do one, but it might be a bit later on in the day. Maybe when I've arrived and feel sick from the 11-hour journey. I don't know. We'll just man up and deal with it. But we'll do a live show, episode 150, and then that means we've only got 6 weeks to go until the 3-year mark. So that'll be amazing. But yeah, so I'm over in San Francisco next week for Entrepreneur Business Live on the 13th of June. I'm also going to do some tours around LinkedIn. I've got WeWork planned, and also Google. I'm going to the HQ, to the Google Plex as well. And then at the weekend, I'm going to be in a little independent movie in Vegas. They're shooting a bit of it called the Bobby the Bear movie with my friend Roger Wilkinson, so that'd be good fun as well. So I'll be flying out to there, and I'll do a bit of information from, or share a bit of value from over at Vegas as well. I think I fly back from Vegas on the Sunday though, so I will be back in San Francisco for episode 151. That'll be good fun. But I will make sure that we're doing something cool for our location. It certainly won't be here though. Let's do one more question. So Daniel Nunes, who I think is watching here, who's going to be helping co-host the Phoenix Entrepreneur Business Live, probably back in July, has said, I've noticed that many come to the table and think it's a free buffet. A lot of people have a sample and turn to run with the bit that they thought would be the key to success or progress. Sure, when it was merely a taste test. The question is, how do we become so invaluable to our clients that they will either stay seated with us or, as you say, walk away with the intent of becoming a broadcaster of our mission? How do you get your clients to commit to the collaboration without walking off with what we teach them and doing their own thing? What we're really talking about here, Daniel, is buy-in on an emotional level to the point where these prospects would feel bad to take your thing and run. Okay, so what we need to think about is, how do we get people to want to talk about you? How do we get people to want to feel like, do you know what, I'll just take from this person. And that's nothing malicious, by the way. I do that, as do you, when you just go to a shop. I'm not going to stand around chatting all day to a shop assistant. I tend to just go in, take what I want, and that's it. And sure, I've done a purchase, but I'm not staying around evangelizing about that particular shop. I'm just buying the thing and going. What do you do to get that person to stick around? It's simple. You create an ecosystem of content, which is a magnet for people, and then you focus in on the community. And if you can focus on a community, then people will want to stick around. You need to be the hub, the superstar, the kind of that central binding force that brings people around you, but sticks people around you. Sure, they've bought the product, but they're sticking around. So plenty of people who engage with my content, for instance, they've bought my product ages ago, or they're in the process of coaching with me or something like that. But what we don't do is have the sale and that's the end of it. I bring them in. They become family, if you like. And so it's like, you focus in on that community building. You put out for them to spend some time doing more for them. Get on if you can get that familiarity thing going, Daniel, what happens is you get people starting to, you give them a phone call, or you drop them a few. I did one earlier today with a very good contact of mine, who we're talking about a mastermind that I'm going to be doing in November in Tel Aviv. And the idea is that, we're going to put together a LinkedIn, this is in real life, a masterclass. We have a load of people in there, as well as an Entrepreneur Business Live event. And I think that's an example of someone who, rather than just kind of being one transaction and that's it, we spent time, and I checked in with them. There was voice messages, there was DMs and so on, and we spent probably together 10 minutes, which is a lot, in DMs and voice today, just to kind of solidify that connection. And I think, unless you are in a position, which would be a good problem, by the way, where you have so many damn customers or prospects that are hot that you can't touch them all, you need to put out and really spend time with each of them. Those that show interest and those that help you or give you value. And that might be that they level up your stuff. It might be that they put in, their network to support your content. It might be that they comment, and that means a lot, and that gives the algorithm a boost, if you like. It could be that it's that you get from that person rather than a straight sale. Whatever it is, you need to be trying to check in. And, this is about a friendship in many ways, and that connection and relationship and the community, and shouting them out and tagging them in posts with other people, all that kind of ecosystem is really important, because that person wants to stick around because you're a source of good vibes. If they're feeling shit about stuff, you're there to help them. If they've got problems in their world, then you're there to listen. And it sounds crazy, you're not everyone's agony aunt or whatever, but the point is that if you show up for them beyond just the product purchase or something like that, then they tend to want to stick around. And I've found that takes a lot of time, and it's crazy that people think, oh, but that sounds exhausting. But isn't it fun and stimulating to focus on building a community and engaging with people and getting to know them, rather than new people every single day? I don't get where the downside is. It's really wonderful to focus on the community that way. And what you end up with is people want to stick around and stay, and that really makes a difference. One other thing to add here is, if you're feeling that people are kind of nibbling and going and that's it, well, that is going to happen, as you probably know, a huge amount, certainly majority of the time, okay? If you look at not even a purchase, look at just comments on posts, right? You tend to get thousands and thousands of views, but maybe a few % of them will actually bother to do the comment. So many of those people have watched it, but very few, a small minority actually bothers to take an engagement further than that and do some kind of action, if you like. And it may just be you're not hitting enough people. It may just be you need to distribute a bit more. are you targeting 8 people with the thing you do? If you are, well, then the chances are low you're going to get people to stick. If you're targeting 2,000 people, people every week and distributing, that's why I put a lot of money behind distribution of my content, because I know if I can just keep getting new people into orbit, that's new people into the community. It works really well. I put out a post yesterday on Instagram, and by this morning, on LinkedIn, by this morning it ticked over 100,000 views, and there's a huge amount of new people who have come in there, and new people have engaged, new people have shared, have commented, have sent me messages and so on. If I work with the same small group of people, it may not be enough. It could just be that that's the issue. You just need more people in there instead. I'm going to finish up here because we're at 1:45 here, and I'm going to move over to I'm just going to finish up here, and then I'm going to move over to Kurt Mercadante's group, the Freedom Group, I believe it is. I'm going to post a link in here as well. So thank you very much who's been watching over on Instagram. Great to see you. Thank you also everyone listening on the podcast as well, and thank you so much everyone watching on Facebook. It's been great fun. Watch next week is episode 150. If you have any questions in the replay, then do put them in the comments and I will catch up with you afterwards. But in the meantime, thank you very much, and I'll see you over in Kurt's group very soon.